Congratulations, IYC Pilipinas, on celebrating your 8th year today. We in Kabataan stand in solidarity with you in hashtag Youth Lead, changing the Philippine landscape of youth policy making. Indeed, we must continue all efforts to ensure that policy making truly reflects the interest of the people, the nation, and the planet. As student and youth leaders, we have been driven by the pursuit of positive development or simply by the assertion to make things better, especially at the grassroots level. In our personal and collective capacity, we have served particular changing needs and the achievement of the aspirations of our respective constituents while keeping with our core values and principles. Saludo at suporta kami sa inyong lahat sa patuloy na nagsisikap na mag-ambag sa kapakanan ng mga kabataan at sambayanan sa iba't ibang mga pamamaraan. As leaders, we must always keep ourselves updated. We must keep ourselves informed, especially on where we are now in terms of the pandemic response and recovery. Nasaan na ba tayo ngayon? Nasaan ba tayo bago ang COVID-19? Nasaan na tayo sa landas ng pagtugon, sa pagkilom at sa sama-samang pagbangon? In the midst of a public health emergency and following the onslaught of calamities, there is record high unemployment as millions of overseas and domestic workers have lost their jobs, and a number of businesses and sources of livelihood are already forced into closing or trimming down their operations. Government debt has skyrocketed as high as 9 trillion. This is projected to reach about 10 trillion by the year end, while the economy dips at a historic low at negative 9.5%. Despite having one of the longest lockdowns in the world, COVID-19 cases are still increasing, and the prospect of controlling its spread remains dim if there's still no transparent COVID-19 vaccination program and a comprehensive, health-focused, rights-based, and participatory approach to the overall pandemic response. Education is in a major crisis too, with about a million students who have not enrolled or dropped out of school this year. Challenges related to ensuring inclusive, alternative learning modalities and protection of teachers and education support personnel's health still have to be addressed. All these pressing issues concerning the education stakeholders, the youth, and the Filipino people at large must be tackled with a sense of urgency, not only in this event, but in all possible spaces for discussion, debate, and dialogue from our homes to our communities online and offline, and turn all this information to systematic and organized action. As the COVID-19 crisis has made clear, the decisions that our leaders make can spell the difference between life and death. So to all of you who are in Zoom or watching us live, all of us have witnessed how the COVID-19 pandemic has not only aggravated long-standing problems, it has also deepened inequalities and magnified the income gap in the Philippines. To the young people in this event, let us remember that the decisions that our leaders make can affect our future in so many ways. In our lifetime, we've already had this unprecedented crisis that has demanded our government to efficiently and effectively intervene to save lives. This multi-layered health, rights, jobs, learning, and climate crisis have also helped us realize that the policies and pronouncements of public officials impact our everyday lives. And this realization has also increased young people's interest in civic engagement and political processes. Due to the vaccine step, a dolomite dumping in Manila Bay, the 15 billion PhilHealth fund lost, the railroading of the anti-terror law, attacks on free press, threats to academic freedom, and even the red tagging of the Maginhawa Community Pantry, which is now a nationwide movement, just to name some of the Filipino people's utmost concerns with the pandemic. Having all these issues besetting our country today, the young people have expressed greater interest, intentions to know who their representative is in Congress, or they ask who the senators are, who are the members of Congress who voted for a particular measure, how to lobby, what are the agenda of the meeting and the plenary session, who are the members of the interagency task force versus COVID-19. And in all these questions, we need not wait for the elections to raise all these queries, to demand answers. We need not wait for the elections to make our voices heard, to make the people's voices heard. We need to act now. And the number of young people puts us in a very powerful position to shape the current political landscape. The voices and action of the young Filipinos hold the potential to become the deciding factor in policymaking. Kaya tandaan, may bilang tayo. The youth comprises more than 40% of the total Philippine population. But though we come from the same age bracket, it is equally important for us to note, particularly for planning or next steps or for needs assessment, policy making, and advocacy building, that the youth is not a homogeneous group having differences in beliefs, socioeconomic status, or religion, languages, access to education, employment, housing, or social services. Ngunit sa kabila nito, tandaan natin na mahalagang hanapin ang ating mga punto ng pagkakaisa. Our strength lies not in our numbers, but in our unity and in our solidarity. Despite having diverse needs, backgrounds, and circumstances in life, we still share at least three things that make the youth a positive, progressive, and dynamic force of change, not only in policy making, but in society at large. Number one is history. We have a long history of young heroes and dynamic youth movements, which had played a vital part in pushing for meaningful reforms and fighting foreign occupation, colonialism, abuse of power, and all forms of discrimination so we could exercise our fundamental freedoms and rights today. Our rights are won by movement. Obligasyon nating lagit-lagi pangalagaan at protektahan ang mga karapatan na ito para naman sa susunod na mga henerasyon. May kasaysayan tayo ng mga aral, ng mga inspirasyon at tagumpay. So kaya numero uno, kasaysayan. Number one, history. Number two, vigor. We have vigor as we barrel through this period when we should be at our healthiest and most energetic. Marami sa atin na lulumo sa lahat ng nangyayari na patong-patong ang krisis sa ating bansa. Ngunit wala pa rin kapantay ang lakas, ang enerhiya, at boses ng kabataan sa pagtutulak ng makabuluhan ng mga reforma at pagbabago. A voice is a voice no matter what the platform. So we need to sustain the energy of our young people to keep pushing for our demands and our aspirations. Mula sa kalusugan, sa edukasyon, agrikultura, sa kabuhayan, serbisyong panlipunan at paglaban sa korupsyon, pagbangon at pagpapalakas ng pambansang ekonomiya, hanggang sa paninindigan natin para sa integridad ng ating teritoryo at pambansang soberanya ng Pilipinas. Kaya, number one, history. Number two, lakas sa pagtutulak ng youth and people's agenda. Number three, the third is to me what really makes us persevere through and through. Number three is time. Mahaba pang oras na lalakbayin natin. Let us make use of this precious time to actively shape the future we want to inherit. Marami pa tayong pwedeng gawin. Marami pa tayong pwedeng pagtulungan. Through various platforms, we must continue to cultivate a sense of civic duty among the youth to seek the truth and to hold power to account. Let us emphasize the need for change and the ability for our voices to matter, not just at the local level, but also at the national level. Muli, mga kabataan at mga kababayan sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa IYC na nagsama-sama ngayong araw, wala nang ibang panahon kung hindi sa ating pagpapalakas ng ating boses, kundi ngayon sa ating pagkatuto mula sa mga nauna sa atin. We already have the benefit of learning from the history of IYC and all the youth, students, and people's rights movement in the Philippines. We have vigor, we have time. May oras at lakas tayo para magkaisa at gumawa rin ng kasaysayan, kasaysayan ng mga tagumpay. Tiyakin natin na tunay na walang may iwan sa ating pagsulong ng may pagkakaisa. Pagkakaisa tungo sa mas masagana, makatarungan, mapayapa, at tunay na malayang bayan. Sama-sama tayong magmulat, sama-sama tayong magtanggol ng ating mga karapatan at demokrasya sa ating bayan. I strongly believe that we can build back better. We must continue to count and look after each other's health and well-being. Kayang-kaya natin na makapagpanday ng mas magandang bukas. Muli, pagbati sa ika-8 anibersaryo ng International Youth Council sa Pilipinas. Mabuhay po kayo. Stay healthy, stay hopeful, stay safe. Maraming salamat sa inyo.